So hey guys, and thanks for joining me for another video, another random watch dude video. And today I'm going to talk to you, surprise surprise, I'm going to talk to you about Rolex. I seem to find myself discussing Rolex rather a lot at the moment. I'm not just a Rolex fanboy, I'm also an Omega fanboy and a Seiko fanboy, and more recently a Panerai fanboy as well. But you know, I've got an obsession with other watches, not just Rolex. But hey, Rolex seems to be the theme at the moment. And today, guys, I'm going to talk to you about my Rolex GMT Master 2. The one, here we go, it's got it on my wrist today. It's the 126720 VTNR. And guys, I want to talk about a couple of specific things with regards to this watch. And one of them is probably going to be quite controversial for a lot of you. So hang on to your trousers, guys. It's going to get rough. Okay, so you can't talk about the Rolex Submariner 126720 VTNR without obviously having a controversial conversation about what on earth is going on with this watch. And I'll just give you a quick close-up now of this watch. What on earth is going on with this watch? What were Rolex thinking, guys? What were they thinking? What was going through their mind when they decided to take a very popular design and just turn it around, just basically do a mirror reflection of what is actually a very, very popular design? And of course, what I mean by mirror reflection is they just shifted the date wheel and the cyclops as well as the crown from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. This watch was released by Rolex in April 2022. And obviously the internet went nuts, nearly broke the internet. I'm pretty sure the Rolex website went down as well for a little while when this watch was first released, because of course it was also released at the very, very height of the watch madness. It was released at the very, very peak of luxury watch obsession in the world, and it's obviously that's come down from the peak now. The obsession that the world had with watches has definitely cessated significantly. We're kind of in a situation now where we're back to, you know, just normal watch dudes like you and me, just obsessing over watches like we always have. But this watch was released at a time, you know, when everybody was obsessed, or it felt like everybody was obsessed with luxury watches. Not all of them for the right reasons, of course, mainly because people thought that luxury watches were an investment and they could make some money. Anyhow, Rolex released this watch at a point in time, and the internet went nuts, and I went nuts because I absolutely loved the watch. I mean, genuinely, guys, I absolutely loved it. I loved the fact that it's got the green bezel on the bottom with the black top. I absolutely love the fact that it's got a left-hand crown and a left-hand date wheel. Some people just went berserk with utter madness because they hated it. They thought it was disgusting. How could Rolex produce and even consider releasing such a disgusting looking watch? I mean, honestly, guys, what were they thinking? And of course, this is at a time when everybody, and still does to a degree, was saying Rolex are boring. Rolex never do anything. They always release really boring, tiny little iterations and tiny little modifications to their existing range. Such a boring company. They don't do anything out there. They don't do anything left field. So of course what Rolex did was they listened to this advice, because of course they listen to us, don't they? And they said, hey, let's do something really radical to make our watch enthusiasts happy. Let's just do a switcheroo on a really popular watch, probably our most iconic watch, the GMT Master 2. Let's do a switcheroo. Let's chuck everything on the left-hand side because the punters will love that. You know, the watch obsessives and the Rolex fanboys that are telling us we're really boring. You know, this is going to go down a storm. Did it go down a storm? Yeah, with me, it certainly did. And I went straight on the list for this watch. But of course, with a great deal of the, you know, the great unwashed, they weren't happy with it. You know, the Rolex fanboys weren't happy with it. They thought it was weird and ridiculous and disgusting. So anyway, guys, of course, you know, one of the first things that happens when Rolex release a watch, any watch, is that it has to be given some ridiculous childish nickname. In this case, the ridiculous childish nickname that seems to have stuck with this watch is the Sprite. Don't know why. Well, I understand the thinking behind it, but it's not logical to me. I like to call it the Riddler because I'm stupid and childish as well. I like to call it the Riddler. But actually, when I refer to this watch generally, I don't call it the Riddler when I'm thinking of it even. I call it the Lefty. You know, that's really original, isn't it? I call this the watch the Lefty, the left-hand drive, the left-hand crown, you know, the left-hand everything. So I call this watch the Lefty. Call it the Riddler, call it the Sprite, call it what you like. To me, it's the Lefty. And secondly, it's the Riddler. Thirdly, if I'm talking to somebody that just thinks that the whole world revolves around a few, you know, choice people on the internet telling you how to live your life and what to think, let's call it the Sprite, just to keep you guys happy too. Now, point number one that I said I was going to talk about two specific points, and I'm rambling a little bit, so apologies for that. But point number one that I was going to discuss was why. Why did Rolex release this? And my answer to that is why not? As I said earlier, you know, Rolex just wanted to do something really different and really unique and yeah, disgustingly ridiculous, but they did. A lot of people think, now here's the thing, a lot of people think that Rolex released this watch for people that wear their watches on their right wrist, like I do. I just want to dispel that myth, guys. They didn't. People also think that people that wear their watches on their right wrist are left-handed. I want to dispel that myth as well. I'm not left-handed, I'm right-handed, and I wear my watch on my right wrist. So guys, the reason Rolex released this watch with a left-hand everything, the Lefty, is actually for no other reason than they thought it was different, and they thought, well, why the hell not? They didn't design this watch for people that wear watches on their right wrist. If watch companies produced watches or wanted to produce watches for people that wanted to wear their watch on their right wrist, this is exactly what they wouldn't do, because I have this irritating problem with the crown digging into you might even see it here on my wrist, I don't know. I get these little rub marks on my hand here, guys, you know, from this left-hand crown digging into my wrist because I wear my watch on my right hand. I'm quite happy, I'm far happier with the crown to be on the other side. Far happier, and most of my other watches, of course, all my other watches have the crown on the right-hand side, and that makes me really happy as a right-handed person. The crown never digs into my to my wrist, and of course, you guys are going to tell me, "Oh, you're wearing your watch wrong." Well, I'll wear my watch how I jolly well like, and I like to wear my watch quite high up on the wrist, and I find that the right-hand crown works really well for me in that regard. So guys, yeah, dispelling a couple of myths. Is it for people that are left-handed? No. Is it for people that like to wear their watch on their right hand? No. It's for anybody, and I actually think that this watch would work really well on somebody who wears their watch on their left hand, or left wrist, should I say, too. Second point that I wanted to just talk about today with regards to the Lefty is how long is it going to last? You know, this is a question that a few people have asked and still discuss fairly frequently, is how long is it going to last? A lot of people speculate that this watch will not last very long in the Rolex catalogue because it's so disgusting, and Rolex must be absolutely disgusted with themselves for leaving this in the catalogue for nearly 2 years now as it is, and it can't be long before they get rid of it. And of course, you know, that's you know, it's ridiculous, really, guys. I think this watch is going to be in the catalogue for a very long time. I think a lot of people would like to see this watch discontinued because they might have one in the safe. There's reason number one why I think some people might like to see this watch discontinued, is because they've got a minty one that they got from the AD and they've just put it in the safe, and they're looking to double their money or triple their money if this watch gets discontinued. And make no mistake, guys, if this watch gets discontinued in the next year or two, it will double in value, it will triple in value, because not because it's a great watch, but because it's going to suddenly become an iconic model, which is now impossible to get from your AD, and because it only had a short production run, there might be only a few thousand of them out there. Therefore, it's going to be very highly desirable. So, is that going to happen? No, I don't think so. I actually think, like I say, I think Rolex released this model because they wanted to do something a bit different and a bit out there. And if they discontinue this model, guys, we're just going to go back to a really, really boring catalogue with nothing interesting in it. That's my view. That's my view. And I'd like to think that if they were to discontinue this, it would only be discontinuing the colourway, not necessarily discontinuing the left-hand crown. So they might, imagine this, guys, what if they released a left-hand Pepsi? I mean, that would just absolutely drive you guys bonkers, wouldn't it? So if I were to speculate, guys, and I didn't really like this watch, but I got offered one, I'd certainly stick it in the fridge, you know, as they say, stick it in the safe, keep a minty one, and maybe one day, you know, in 5 or 10 years time, you know, you might get your money back. I mean, that's the reality. That's the reality these days with price increases and what have you, is, you know, you might get your money back. But quite seriously, this watch is one of those very, very few watches. In fact, it's one of probably 2 or 3 watches that are in my collection right now that will always stay with me, whatever happens. This watch is one that I formed a very, very strong bond with, guys, and it's not necessarily because it's unusual, because it's got the left-hand crown. It's not that really. It's the fact that I like it's the colourway. It's the fact that it's a GMT Master 2. These watches, as you know, are very, very difficult to get from an AD, and it just feels good. I mean, it's one of those watches. It just feels good on the wrist in a way that a lot of other watches don't. Even watches that are of a very similar quality. This watch just feels good. I built a very, very quick bond with this watch, and I know for non-watch obsessives that sounds pathetic, that you can form a bond, an emotional tie with with an inanimate piece of jewellery, but I formed a bond with this watch. I've had a few memories built with this watch, and so this watch is one of those very few that will never leave my collection. And that's the end of this video, guys. It's just you know, just an informal discussion about the Lefty, about the Sprite, about the Riddler, about the 126720 VTNR, whatever you want to call it. The Lefty is what I like to call it. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Cheers.